is once again turning heads. The reigning Olympic champion produced a stellar 10.75 seconds clocking to win the women's 100 meters at Sunday's Stockholm Diamond League. It was her second victory in 4 days, having clocked 10.89 to win in Oslo last Thursday. Alfred shattered the meet record in Stockholm, taking 0.15 of a second off the 10.90 set by Irina Privalova in 1990. It was also the second fastest time in the world this year, behind the Olympic bronze medalist USA's Melissa Jefferson Wooden's 10.73. Now, Alfred, who celebrated her 24th birthday last Tuesday, says it's all about trusting her coach.
I'm satisfied. I know my coach gave me a plan yesterday after having a mental block in practice. But so far, so good. I have no complaints. I was in my head a lot yesterday. I didn't feel like my usual self. But he's just reassured me that I'm in great shape. I'm fine just the way I'm. Just trust the plan that we have so far.
Yeah, there you have it from Julian Alfred. By the way, she was the only Caribbean winner at the Stockholm Diamond League on Sunday. Jamaica's Akira Nugent was a second-place finisher in the 100 hurdles, clocking a pretty brisk 12.37. Grace Stark, the American, winning that event in 12.34 seconds. Lance and Donald, you know, I go back to Thursday when Julian Alfred ran 10.89 in Oslo. And post-race, she said, I felt terrible. The execution was poor. She seemed disappointed with the performance. And, you know, from my untrained eye, and given the fact that it was her first race of the season, I thought she looked pretty good. And then I saw the race yesterday, and I thought to myself, yeah, now I see why she wasn't happy with what she produced a few days prior, because yesterday was a significantly better performance as shown in the time. First of all, her start was better, and that is something that was lacking in that first race in Oslo. She was sluggish out of the blocks. The acceleration was so good as well in that Stockholm race, and I still believe that she eased off with about 7 to 10 meters to go. So had she run all the way through at full tilt, she could have gone slightly faster. Not suggesting that she would have run 10.6, but certainly could have gone faster than the 10.95. It is looking really ominous from my standpoint as to what this young lady can produce in 2025. At the start of the season, and this is why I think, you know, coaching is so important, and sometimes we can overlook the importance of quality coaches and coaches with experience who understand what they're about and what they're doing. And her coach, Eldrick Florial, clearly understands what he's doing, because there are so many coaches who could have gone, hey, let's defend the world indoor title. Let's run some 60s indoors and try and get another world indoor title. Let's get out there first couple of meets and get a few hundreds in. But what they did was to start 2025 by working on her weaknesses, getting her speed endurance up, because I suspect the feeling is that's part of why she lost the Olympic 200 final last year. The goal this year is not just to win the 100 meters at the world title for Julian Alfred, but is to be the world sprint double champion. And from everything that I've seen so far, I would say they are very, very much on target.
Yeah. And when you listen to her in her post-race comments, it just tells you, and, you know, maybe for viewers and sports fans looking on and sometimes underestimate the kind of pressure that these athletes are under. She said she had a mental block in training the day before and so on. And you have to listen to things like those, because it tells you that although she is the best in the world, she has doubt. She goes through troubles in her build-up to races that she has to work through. And I think you're right that her coach does a really good job in getting her through those moments. I was checking something today, Ricardo and Donald, because I want to project in my mind the potential that this girl has. And I was looking at the fastest Caribbean sprinters, women, and the ones that have gone 10.75 or faster.
Want to do a Just the Facts with me?
And Julian Alfred is the youngest of the group to have achieved 10.75 or faster when she did 10.72 last year in Paris as a 23-year-old. Elaine Thompson went as fast as 10.75 and faster at 24. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce went 10.75 or faster at 25. So this Julian Alfred achieved something at 23 years old that the fastest Caribbean athletes in history had not yet attained.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that that is a sort of trajectory that we can say that this girl, the sky's the limit for her, and she may very well turn out to be the best we've seen.
And just to add to your point, Merlene Ottey ran 10.75 or faster at 36 years old.
That's right. That's right.
So
now, don't get me wrong. Julian Alfred still has a lot to do to match up to Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce and Elaine Thompson and so on. But she's 24 years old. Her career is ahead of her. And I think she has a really, really bright future.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things, that sort of always interests me is how open Julian is about the mental aspect of her game. Before she became Olympic champion, she spoke openly about the issues she's had believing in herself.
Especially during the COVID period.
Especially during the COVID period, but even post the COVID period. And how much her coach helped in getting her to believe that she belonged at almost every level that she competed at, whether it be the NCAA level or when she transitioned into becoming an international athlete. And even though she is Olympic champion, she is still open about the fact that I had a mental block in training. And that came as well on the back of the Oslo race, where she felt that she didn't perform as well as she should have on that day. In fact, I remember her saying, Coach Flo is not going to be pleased. That's one of the very first things that she said in that interview. But it's interesting that she remains so open about this aspect, which says to me that she is still working on that side, which says to me that the coach still has to be doing a lot of work. And sometimes people will say, well, you know, you're a champion now, so you shouldn't have those mental blocks. It does not work like that. You still have to work through those, because as you have success, there are different areas that you now have to deal with. There are different things that you have to deal with. So whereas before it was the belief that I can win, I can be the best in the world, I can be Olympic champion, now there has to be that belief that because there's a target on my back, I can hold off everyone that's there. Based on the trajectory of Julian Alfred right now, I think she is going to do a little bit more than hold off. It's certainly looking that way. But it's fascinating to me.
I'm glad that she has Usain Bolt as her role model, because you speak about having a target on your back. She can look at Usain as that example, because he was able to shrug off all competitors.
A little more than shrug off, maybe except once. Yeah.
Well, so he dominated his field. We can definitely say that. But yeah, having that imposter syndrome is a real thing. And I think she even knows that, becoming champion is one thing, and it's a massive thing. But remaining champion is something altogether, and she's going to keep on revisiting that in her mind. So it's not altogether surprising that there's still some form of mental blocking there, especially when it comes to the races that she would go through on the circuit.
Yeah, which is the point I was trying to make earlier on, that athletes like Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce and Elaine Thompson for not as long a period as Shelly-Ann, but repeated these performances and continued their dominance, which tells you that they are at this high level that Julian Alfred has not yet attained. And we're thinking that she can, but the next 2 or 3 years of her development and her growth will tell us just how far she will reach up that chain.
And you know what I saw yesterday, Lance and Donald? Lord help me. But what I saw yesterday was an athlete who is going to be running in the low 10.6s this season.
I think so.
And I think she's also an athlete that will be around 21.6 low or better this season.
Lord help you.
That's what I saw. I think she is going to be so difficult to beat this year. And mind you, there's still a long way to go to the World Championships. But unlike her toughest competition, Julian Alfred doesn't have a national championship that she has to go through. She does not have to peak twice. The only thing she is preparing to let loose at is the World Championships. It's not like 2 years ago when she had a long NCAA season and then tried to transition into the professional part of the season. There is one goal in mind, and that's winning the sprint double at the World Championships. And the one thing I think I'm pretty sure of is that when we get to September 13 to 21, Julian Alfred will be in the best form that she's ever been in at both 100 and 200 meters, all things being equal, and no injuries, knock on wood.
So there's no hesitation in your mind that this being such a long season that she may be peaking a little bit too early?
No, there is none. There is none, because I think we're dealing with, one, a super athlete with a super coach. And usually when that combination exists, I have significantly less, if any, concerns
They would have paced
that they will
themselves
be
for
able
the
to
season.
get it right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach Florial is extremely experienced. He knows what he's doing. He's done it before. And Julian Alfred is a super talent. No doubt in my mind that she'll be ready.
So about super talent, right? What else happened yesterday? As far as the world record was concerned, it was really some incredible performances we've seen from this man in the pole vault, right?
He breaks world records at will.
Yeah,
It's like whenever
insane.
he feels like, he just breaks the world record.
I'm going to break a world record and go to a break.